The Hidden Guardian, the narrative of the Book of Tobit. Introduction, the shadows of exile. In an ancient night in the city of Nineveh, a part of the brutal Assyrian Empire, a righteous Israelite captive named Tobit spent his entire life secretly risking execution. He performed acts of charity, clothing the naked, feeding the hungry, and giving honorable burials to his murdered countrymen left out in the streets. But following a long day of performing these dangerous duties, tragedy strikes. As Tobit rests against the wall of his courtyard, hot bird droppings fall into his open eyes, forming blinding white films over his sight. Rendered entirely blind, broke, and mocked by his neighbors, Tobit falls into absolute despair and prays for death. At that exact moment, hundreds of miles away in the kingdom of Media, a young woman named Sarah is also praying for death. She is plagued by a terrifying, unseen entity, Asmodeus, the king of demons. Sarah has been married 7 times, and every single time on the wedding night, the jealous demon murders her groom before the marriage can be consummated. The author of the Cosmos hears both of these desperate prayers simultaneously, and a single celestial remedy is set into motion. Chapter 1, The Disguised Guide. Unaware that his prayers have been answered, Tobit remembers a large sum of silver he left in safekeeping years ago in a distant city. He calls for his young son Tobias and instructs him to find a trustworthy guide to lead him across the perilous, bandit-filled wilderness to retrieve the money. Tobias goes out to search the city gates and meets a young traveler named Azarias, who claims to know the dangerous mountain roads perfectly. Tobias introduces the traveler to his blind father. Tobit blesses them and sends them on their journey, completely unaware that Azarias is actually the Archangel Raphael in human disguise, sent directly from the divine presence to heal the family. As the young boy and the disguised angel travel into the wilderness, they pitch camp along the banks of the rushing Tigris River. When Tobias steps into the water to wash his feet, an enormous predatory fish leaps out of the depths to attack him. Raphael commands Tobias to wrestle the beast onto the dry land. Under the angel's instruction, Tobias carefully extracts the fish's heart, liver, and gall, sealing them away as ancient medicinal elements for a purpose he does not yet understand. Chapter 2, Confronting the King of Demons. The travelers eventually arrive in Media and stay at the home of Sarah's family. Raphael reveals to Tobias that Sarah is his rightful kin and that he must marry her. Tobias is terrified, knowing the fate of the 7 previous husbands, but the Archangel reassures him, instructing him to use the ancient alchemy of the fish. On the wedding night, as the heavy shadow of the demon Asmodeus enters the bridal chamber to strike down another groom, Tobias acts. He places the fish's heart and liver on the glowing embers of the incense burner. The effect is instantaneous and violent. The foul burning smoke fills the room, creating an unendurable barrier for the dark entity. The demon Asmodeus shrieks in agony and flees into the highest outermost deserts of Egypt. Raphael pursues the entity across the continents, binding him in spiritual chains to ensure he can never terrorize the family again. The curse is broken, and a night meant for mourning transforms into a majestic feast of joy. Chapter 3: The Scales of Sight. With the silver retrieved, and Sarah as his bride, Tobias returns home to Nineveh, where his blind father, Tobit, sits in a darkness, weeping and waiting. As they enter the courtyard, Raphael tells Tobias to hold the fish's gall ready in his hand. Tobit rushes forward to embrace his son, stumbling in his blindness. Tobias steps forward and rubs the bitter fish gall directly over his father's clouded eyes. A sharp, stinging sensation passes through Tobit's eyes, causing them to water intensely. As Tobit rubs his eyes, the thick white film begins to peel away from the corners of his eyelids like the scales of a fish. Tobit blinks, the darkness shatters, and he sees the brilliant light of day and the face of his son for the first time in years, weeping tears of absolute gratitude. Epilogue: The Reveal of the Seven. As the family attempts to pay their mysterious guide half of all the treasures they accumulated, the young traveler steps back. The human disguise completely dissolves, and a wave of pure, radiant, celestial authority fills the room. The angel speaks. I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels who report the prayers of the saints and enter into the presence of the glory of the Holy One. Do not fear. Peace be with you. Praise God forever. With those words, he ascends into the sky, leaving the family prostrate in absolute awe. When we look through the ancient adventure, the Book of Tobit, we find an enduring lesson for managing our modern lives. The story reminds us that when we are trapped in our darkest moments, whether struggling with physical limitations, emotional problems, or the heavy, everyday problems of financial stress, there are often unseen mechanics operating in the background that restore the balance. Tobit didn't know the fish that attacked him contained his cure, and he didn't know his companion was an archangel. This timeless text challenges us to maintain our integrity, keep performing our duties, even when the immediate horizon looks completely dark. By refusing to let temporary blindness or daily chaos corrupt our character, we keep ourselves aligned with a larger cosmic order, confident that the challenges we face today are formatting us for absolute clarity, strength, and enduring peace in the future.